Drop.
Out here, man, no stars. Out here, we are stone. Imagine it.
What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you for returning back to my channel, The Root Wave. In this episode, I have AmereSoul. AmereSoul, please say hello to the audience and let us know where we can find you, please.
What's going on, everybody? My name is AmereSoul. You can find me on Instagram. That's AmereSoul. You can find me on my website, AmereSoul.wordpress.com. You can also follow me at Mikasa Writers. I have my own writers workshop, so you can follow me, Mikasa Writers Workshop. You can see that on my page as well. So.
Very good. I'm going to put all that information below so that way people can just follow you and go check you out. Now, tell us a little bit about what you do, please.
So basically, I'm a spoken word artist from the Bronx, from the hyper section of the Bronx. I was born and raised. What I do is I write poetry about some of the struggles that I went through and some of the things that I had to overcome, growing up in a rough neighborhood in the hyper section. I named myself Amir Soul in the first place because I just want people to know me as just another person doing this. I came out of the struggle and I want to try to influence somebody to come out the struggle without having to use violence or selling drugs or things like that. I have my past and I have my dirt, but at the same time, I use everything that I went through as a motivation to keep on moving forward. And it kind of influences all of my writing as well. That's why I started Mikasa Writers. Mikasa Writers is a writers workshop that I started with my co-founder Leo Ortiz. We basically met each other at an open mic, and we both loved each other's material. And we said, let's start something for the community. We both wanted to help the community, and that's when we started a free writing workshop at Bronx Art Space. And, from there we just took off. Just trying to influence people in the Bronx specifically, but nationwide. You don't know what somebody's going through who's not from New York. So.
Yeah, for sure. Now, it's easy for someone to say, I'm gonna be a doctor, and you know why they're gonna be a doctor. But
Mhm.
how does one decide I'm gonna be a spoken word artist? Where does that come from?
It's a passion for it. It's a passion for writing. I was a nervous wreck when I first started doing poetry and doing spoken word. It wasn't easy to stand in front of somebody. My first performance was at New Rican with dope artists all around. When I started writing and I started performing, and people started giving me good feedback about my writing, and something like that for somebody who lacked self-confidence when he was growing up, who lacked motivation growing up, for people to be coming up to me and saying like, hey, we love your work, we love what you do. I wasn't the strongest writer growing up. I wasn't the easiest student to deal with. I had a learning disability. I didn't speak English until about 9 years old. So all of those things are coming in. I had people criticize me, for who I was and what I did. But once I started getting older and people started appreciating what I was doing and how I tell my stories and how I tell the stories of other people in my community, um, the biggest motivation was the feedback that I was getting from people. When I go to open mics or when I host an open mic, I always let people know, like, look, this is your craft. This is what you created. This is your creation. Nobody can tell you that it's wrong. Nobody can tell you that's right because it's what you wrote and whatever you're feeling inside of your heart or in your mind. I write whenever I go through something. That's how I got away with anger management and things like that. I wrote everything down. If I was feeling angry, I would write that word angry and then just try to write a poem about it. So,
Oh, that's pretty dope. That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's say someone's watching this and wants to be a writer or wants to get into writing. Like myself, I love write. I love the concept. I'm really good at writing. I'm awesome at all that stuff, but I don't find the motivation to develop it. How does someone come up with ways to develop their writing, or what are some things that you've seen in the writing community that would help someone that's watching this and is like, yo, I've always wanted to get into it. I'm not sure how. And maybe you can mention some ideas that somebody might say, hey, you know what, this is gonna motivate me right now.
music. Music is my biggest motivation. I don't just listen to, music from today's age. I grew up as a singer, so I grew up like classically, like reading music. So I listen to some of this, like, I give people the example of like the Batman soundtrack and the Inception soundtrack and things like that. All of those are written by the same person. His name is Hans Zimmer,
Yo, I
one of the
love Hans
greatest
Zimmer, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're one of the greatest
amazing.
composers of all time. You know, and that's one person that I listen to, and like just to focus on, just zone out from, because music influences a lot of people. If you listen to hip hop, even though you're trying to, write something about, something like super calming, hip hop is automatically gonna amp you up, so it's gonna influence what you write. But if you listen to somebody like Hans Zimmer, where there's no words and no lyrics, but depending on what soundtrack you're listening to, if you're listening to Batman, it's gonna be like an action soundtrack. But if you're listening to Inception, it's gonna be a more mellow, laid back soundtrack. But if you really want to develop, this writing habit, another thing that I would suggest is writing prompts. If you follow Mikasa writers, what we do is we post a different writing prompt every single week, and we feature you on our page if we select you. It doesn't mean that you're a bad writer if you don't get selected. Just keep on writing and that's how we're trying to develop people who might say I love writing, but I'm never gonna perform, things like that. But 30 poems is 30 pages. That's a book right there. So those are one of my biggest influences too. I know that every single one of my poems could turn into a book one day. So it's all about just what style you want to have. Not everybody is going to be a Rudy Francisco poet. Some people might be more into Shakespeare. And there's different styles. Myself, I'm a spoken word artist, so I have a very up tempo kind of beat, when somebody else might have a slower tempo. So it's all about just practicing every single day. Just keep on writing. You'll find yourself like becoming more relaxed and becoming more in one with yourself, which is most important. So
Right, right. Now, give me a little insight on the genre of spoken word, but then also give me a little insight on spoken word in this city, like in the Bronx, in the surrounding
yeah.
boroughs. Like, what have you noticed and seen, please?
Well, spoken word is, poetry is poetry, but spoken word is a different type of poetry, which is like more up tempo. It's kind of like rap, but not really. You know, in the city, I work a lot with just going to open mics everywhere. Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Uptown, Yonkers, Vermont. I go everywhere wherever there's an open mic, I'll try my best to attend, and then I try my best to start my own open mics as well. But I've seen like some of the most talented people in terms of arts and artistic styles in the underground, and underground places, people's basements, Bronx Native, My Haven Bar and Grill, these places where there's like a whole bunch of talent in one room, and you never even knew it that they live down the block from you, or they live just 3 stops away from you on the train. But some of the best artists are the ones who aren't signed yet, who aren't out there every single day, but some of them are grinding. They got a 9 to 5. As soon as they finish the 9 to 5, they're going straight to open mic at 8 o'clock or something like that. But it is like everybody that's in that field, you go to another open mic, you're gonna see the same person, so automatically you build that bond with somebody. Like I know a couple of artists who I build bonds through the open mic, where we see each other in Brooklyn or in Queens or something like that. We're from the Bronx, but we'll see each other like, oh, yo, he pulled up, okay, and we support each other as well. Like it's just all about just support for each other because we know the grind. I'm in the process of publishing my first book, but I know like 3 other people who have 4 books. So I learned from them, and I learned different types of publishing companies and how to do this and how to really expand myself as an artist as well. Because art isn't only what you spit; it's everything behind you, merchandise, things like that, making sure that people know who you are, so that when you in Brooklyn or Queens or something, I tell everybody that's not from New York, I say, yo, you need a stage, man. Pull up, let me know what borough you in. I'll find you an open mic if you want to pull up. That's the type of bond that we have. I can hit up anybody at any time. Like, hey, where's it at tonight? Yo, I got a show in Brooklyn tonight. Pull up. It's $10 interest rate. Oh, lit. I'm there. So
Right,
that's the kind of vibe that you get with spoken word artists all throughout the city. So
right, right. Now, is there with the spoken word, is there a growth currently happen with it, or is it something that we just weren't aware of and then now it's becoming more aware?
it's something that we weren't aware of, and now it's becoming more aware. Def 100%. I say that. I mean, even like today, like you have a lot of events who always like before you would see on the flyers, pull up for music, drinks, and things like that. Now it's like pull up for music, drinks, a spoken word, an open mic, featured artists doing this, and It is something that's growing. It's amazing how much it's growing, especially in the Bronx. Because in the Bronx, you like I said, you have some heavy hitters here. You have people like Cito Blanco, Hans Noor, myself, Lee Ortiz, Destiny Padilla, who hosts an open mic in Casa BX Lounge. Most of us are currently about to host our open mic. You got Hatris, Poetic Boy Q. These people are all individuals who are from the Bronx and who are from the city, inner cities, and um, they try their best to promote it as much as possible because it is something that there was. You had Def Poetry Jam back in the '90s, and things like that. Some of the best poets like Lauryn Hill, Kanye West, but then rap took over. But it's all in the same form. But now even rappers are accepting spoken word artists. So at their shows, they're like, "My boy's a spoken word artist. I'm gonna let him do his little thing for a little bit."
Hmm.
So it's definitely being accepted a lot more, especially in New York. If you go to Philly, it's crazy. It's a crazy poetic scene out there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. Um, where do you see spoken word going? Do you see it going anywhere? Do you see an evolution of it? Do you see it, or kind of doing like what we're talking about right now, where at some point it used to be spoken about a lot and more, and then now it went down, and now it's going back up? Do you see something evolving from that?
Yeah, I definitely do. Just because of some of the works that, like myself, I'm doing, Mikasa Writers. I'm just one of the many organizations who's trying to do something like this. I'm also in the works of talking to like New York recreational activities because I want to host this huge like poetry fest in Orchard Beach because I'm from the Bronx. I want to host something there. It's a lot of loops and things like that, but I believe that within the next couple of months, just communication wise, I feel like we will make it happen. They also have like huge poetry fests in the cities as well. A lot of people are really going towards it because without music in the background, you could concentrate more on the words that somebody is saying. If you see for example, I was just at an open mic with Bronx Native. You have a whole bunch of amazing talented musicians, and then I'm like the only spoken word artist there, but like just grasping the attention of people just by words. Like this, it doesn't take away from the music aspects of things, but it's like there's another genre up there. I feel like it's gonna be evenly equal to rap and music and things like that in the future. I feel like it's happening already. Just the summertime by itself, just huge summer festivals where a lot's going to be going on in the poetry scene. And a lot of us are poets and musicians at the same time. So myself, I try to incorporate the guitar into my poetry as much as possible because I'm still a musician, but I am also a spoken word artist. So I'm trying to incorporate both so that we have that connection, so that people don't forget that there's still that connection of you can have a beat in the back, but listen to the words.
Right, right. Now, most of these genres and art forms don't exist without an audience, and I want to know what have you collected over your time and your experience, your wisdom doing this work. What have you seen the reaction, or what have you collectively, what energy have you collectively like witnessed or experiences, or maybe somebody's come up to you and spoken to you after you've done your job. What give us a little bit of that? Give us a little insight in that.
Like I said before, I always grew up with like self confidence issues. So like I'll write something, perform it, and just be like, yeah, I did okay. But the first time where I actually like sat is it was for It's the Bronx. It was this huge festival in the Bronx that a lot of people were a part of, and I was performing, and it
I
is.
was there too.
Oh, you were there, so you saw it. So
I saw you,
it's
and
it's
I know I was exhibiting there too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I was like, I'm never too good at crowds and things like that. But it's a lot of people talking on the side. The one moment where I didn't hear not one word coming out of anybody, and I just saw people just captivating my words and really listening to me, and then coming up to me after saying like, "Yo, I felt that because I went through the same thing," or something like that. My brother, coming up to me and telling me like, "Yo, that was." Like every eye was on me, everybody's camera was on me. I'm just like, wow, this is the type of respect I'm getting because of something that I'm speaking about.
Hmm.
That is one of the biggest accomplishments that I made because you were there, so you saw how many people were there and how much was going on with artists in the side and things like that. People could have easily been looking at other pictures, but everybody just had their eyes on me. And
Hmm.
for something like that, especially when I'm talking about something that I went through in my personal life, so I'm like all my words, I tell everybody all my words are just 100% just me telling you my story. I'm an open book, so I'm telling you my story, and I'm only 25, but I'm giving like all the insight and things like that. So for everybody to just be listening and coming up to me after, like, I felt every word, I'm Puerto Rican, and your Puerto Rican piece really touched me, things like that. And I'm like, it's I call myself AmereSoul because I'm just another person. I'm just trying to tell you guys my story, and for people to really captivate the words, that was probably one of the biggest experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think that reaction, because I was there too. I think the reaction of people when they see a spoken word artist perform, or they're listening to it or whatever. I think they get inspired and they feel like full. Their soul gets touched, you know. But I think one of the biggest thing is, since now social media is helping, expand that genre a lot
Yeah,
more. Um, I feel like it's something that in the future we're going to notice that we need more expression. We need, just as human beings, we need to express more. We need to write out our
yeah,
thoughts, or really
absolutely.
really like piece together our thoughts thoroughly, something a little more proactive or positive, in the sense that it brings us more light to our life, makes us better people,
Yeah, definitely.
just brings some type of energy to it, even if it's just you, speaking your mind, whether it's good or bad. I mean, in some way or a shape or other, it's gonna do well for someone, even if it's just yourself, right?
It's a huge self care tool. You
Right.
know, I tell everybody who I deal with, I'm in no way, shape, or form am I, set for life. Just ready to go with every single thing. Um, I recently just lost my job, so like now it's like you've been there before. Let's regroup. Let's see what we could do out of it. Do this full time now. Start writing your book. In the meantime, look for jobs. So it's an escape too. Like it's one of those things that you really need to express yourself through. If you need to express it through music, you could do that too. It's what art form you take. In New York City, a lot of people are becoming more poets, spoken word artists, things like that, because it's not rap, but it's not just regular poetry. It's like you have some type of beat and tempo that you can do it. And eventually it could turn into a song. Who knows? A lot of my poems turned into songs at one point. So
Yeah, but could it be that I think we're in a time where we just need more of this? Like,
yeah,
it's not
definitely.
necessarily just music, but it's just like this type of stuff, like
Yeah, just write. I mean, I have my notebook, and like I show a little bit. So like all my ideas are on here, and it's all over the place. I'm just scribbling, scrabbling somewhere. This is me trying to figure my life out.
I can
So
relate. I can relate.
yeah, so this is me trying to figure everything out. But even if it's coming to like I come to a coffee shop called Boogie Down Grind in the Bronx, and sometimes just sit here and just write for a while. Meet up with a couple of other poets who come through, and just vibe out. We have a couple of spots that we go to, like Boogie Down Grind is one. The Miles Coffee Bar in the Streamers is another one. Um, right next to the Bronx Native is cafe. I just found it the other day. It's huge. It was nice, and just taking time out of the busy, because we're so used to being fast paced
Yeah.
that we forget that we have so much control over everything. But when we live in New York. New York isn't going to keep us away from it. Like we have to, just going to the train, you have to make it in 2 minutes. So those are things that we go through on our daily basis, and just it's like wear and tear. Just getting used to that mentality. Even if we go somewhere like Pennsylvania, we're still going to be in that fast paced mentality. So
Yeah, very true. Now, tell us a little bit about what's in the future for you.
for me, I am in the process of finally saying that I am releasing my book within the next 3 months. Within
Nice.
the next 3 months, I will be. I'm not too sure when it is again. I've been saying it for like 2 years already that I'm gonna finish my book, but I'll be done with my book within the next 3 months. I have a whole bunch of like features I'm gonna be doing. June 1st is one of my big ones. That's for a school in Haiti. It's a fundraiser for a school in Haiti, so that's a big one for it. $10 coverage. But all of the funds is going towards that school in Haiti. Because writers, I'll be doing bi-weekly writing workshops. It's not necessarily a place where we teach you how to write. We just give you, like we always have a featured artist come in and actually host it. So like we have people like Josue from Bronx Native, myself, Lee Ortiz was hosting it as well. Gretchen, who's an amazing writer. So most of them are writers who like have solidified themselves as writers, but they're just going more towards doing writing workshops for us and helping us out through there. That's every other Wednesday. So on my Instagram, you'll see everything. I'll post them on a daily basis. We also got the writing prompts that I was speaking about earlier. That we post a different writing prompt every single week, and then we choose somebody and feature them on our page. Every Monday, I do Stage Box, which is an open mic every Monday at my Haven Bar and Grill from 7:30 till 10 o'clock. That's open to anybody. The founders wanted to create somewhere in the Bronx, and that people don't have to go all the way to Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan to perform. So that's every Monday. And then I have a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm just off the top of my head. I really don't remember. I just got myself a planner too, so I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we definitely have to speak offline because I have a book idea for the last year that I've been like sitting on, and then the only thing
yeah,
that's really been stopping me is one, actually two things have been stopping me. Actually sitting down and writing it all out. I have like a book
yeah.
like yours where it's like all pieced together notes.
Just a whole
And
bunch of stuff,
yeah,
right?
and then the other one was learning the publishing side of it. So
Yeah,
that'd be good to talk about. But
definitely.
maybe at some point down the line, I would love to do an interview with you and maybe some of your partners or associates, and
Oh
and
yeah,
and
definitely.
and discuss the publishing process of it, because I think a lot of people are stuck on that. Where you're like, hey, I have it,
Yeah,
but how do I even start? Right? I mean, there's people that
yeah.
don't even use
There's
the
a
computer.
there's a lot of self-publishing,
Right.
ways to do things, and people say that self-publishing is like it's kind of a bad thing because there might be errors and things like that. But this is the easiest way to start off,
Right.
and then have people buy your book, and then have constructive criticism on your book. You never know what ideas you could get. You could always remake a book.
Re-release it. Right.
Yeah, you could re-release it. You didn't get enough sales the first time. You could re-release it, and say this is volume two, but
Right.
this is the more updated volume. Make something up there.
Right.
But definitely we'll definitely link up. Like I said, there's a couple of places that we could actually link up. Like Boogie Down Grind is one of those places. So
Yeah, for real. And
yeah,
then also, I was talking to an associate actually this weekend because we're throwing a art event. But I was speaking to an associate of mine who was asking me, hey, do you want to help me put together something with spoken word artists? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm speaking to some spoken word artists
yeah.
on Monday today, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we got to talk about that too because I definitely want to get into that a little bit. I'm a big fan of writing, and
Yeah,
I've just been on the low with it, and I feel like lately all these things have been lining up for me where spoken word artists and writers are around
yeah.
me now, and I'm like, this is
It's
great.
definitely
Yeah.
it's definitely an amazing trait. Like I said before, if you, I mean, I the way that I affiliate myself with my friends and things like that, we're all writers in some way, shape, or form. So, like most of them, if you invite me somewhere, you'll probably get like a whole group of us that's gonna come out and always down to perform. Those are the type of things that we do. We love performing. Stages is different when you're on stage.
Yes, sir. For real. Now, tell us one more time where we can find you, please.
You can find me on Instagram. That's AmereSoul, AMereSoul. AmereSoul.wordpress.com. That's my website. Mikasa Writers, Micasa Writers. On Instagram, you can follow myself, or you can follow Lee Ortiz, which is Ortiz Lee, ORTIZLEE. It's three E's. And on Instagram, you'll get some amazing content from her website as well. But you could get a lot of content from the Mikasa writers as well.
Yeah, she's good. I would like to interview her too. She's awesome.
Yeah,
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 I follow her
definitely.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be actually starting. She's going out to the West Coast, so we'll have Mikasa writers on the East Coast, and she's gonna be in San Diego. So we'll have it
Awesome.
on both sides, which is amazing. So
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So
definitely.
now, before I let you go, I usually have my people give us a little send off, so that way somebody that might be watching you might say something that might motivate the crap out of them. So
Yeah,
just if you wouldn't mind, just give us a little send off, please.
yeah, definitely. I grew up in the struggle. I grew up, in poverty. I barely made it through high school. I barely made it through college. I was able to, receive my diploma out of good graces of God, but never give up, never quit. Always walk forward. And my motto is always walk forward, never backwards. Just make sure that whatever it is that's on your mind, you just write it down. If you feel angry, write down that you're angry, and then write why you're angry. 95% of the time, you'll read it over and say like, "That's dumb. Why was I angry about this?" So any type of emotions that you have, I'm a spoken word artist, so I will give the advice of saying, write it down, come to an open mic, share it. A lot of the people who are in the crowd are going through the exact same struggles that you're going through, and you'll feel so relieved believed when they're snapping to every word that you're saying. Somebody can relate, and you might get influenced by somebody.
Yeah, for real. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
And I really appreciate you
definitely.
being on the channel. Thank you so much. I'm going to
No,
put all your
definitely.
information on the screen and below on the comment section. And I really thank you. I hope to build something too because I like
Oh
your
yeah,
work. Yeah,
definitely,
it's enjoyable.
definitely, man. We're definitely gonna collaborate and join up and we're gonna get this festival going as well. So
Yes, I love
and
it.
be working on this side too.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much once again. And to my audience, go support this brother. He's doing really good things. It's important, especially here in the Bronx. And then I'll catch you around to the next episode. Peace.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, sir. Hey,
Yes, sir.